to convince the head of state, the leaders, that was the time to reinvest and to put more effort, more energy in NATO. What they did. And nowadays, a few years later, we are very happy to have done that because you see what's happening. And I cannot help of sparing some thoughts for France in Ukraine. I mean, I'm intervening in many medias today, and I keep on saying how courageous they are. How they have really ruined the ambition of Putin. How they have managed to fight for their country, for their freedom, for their democracy. But they are in the front line. They are our first chain of defense. They are our friends in Europe, we must understand that. This is why we need to support them. This is why we need to be so close, and we need to be prepared. And we need not to be scared by anybody, including by Mr. Putin. He will play with the fear. We are not scared. The Ukrainians has not been scared. This is true. The winter will be tough, but it will be tougher for the Ukrainians than for us. So let's remember that too. Coming back to Tessie, that was this time when we were thinking about the future of NATO, and the Luxembourg chief of delegation gave me a phone call saying, I have a demand. I'm asking some service. I said, yeah, of course, I'm here to serve the countries of NATO. He said, I have a wonderful, a very talented young woman who is interested in coming with us for this conference. I said, well, interesting enough. And I felt that was a good idea. And so we hosted Tessie, who took immediately a place in the conference with very distinguished generals, admirals, and many other very experienced militaries. And she made such comments and very clever questions. And I thought that was really worthy to get her with us. So I'm really pleased that we have done that, because since that we've been friends for my best, really, for my choice. So, as I said, that was the time when we were reorganizing NATO. You must understand as well that for our military the time is very tough. Why is it? Because not only they have to fight as usual on the land, in the air, in the sea, but we have new domains to approach as well, like it was very well stressed in the first speech. In cyber, we have to defend our cyberspace. We have to take care of the outer space as well, and the information space. And you are seeing in Ukraine how much disinformation is really a war which should be tough. We are not playing with the same tools, with the same weapons that our enemy, but still we have to win the information campaign, because if we don't win this campaign, we will lose the war. Because you know the role of information on the minds, on the hearts of many countries in the world is at stake. So, what I mean by that is that we need to train and educate our soldiers as best as we can. And I was the head of an air force which was strong, of 17,000 people. The average age was only 30 years. You can imagine that there were people like me, much older. So that means that we take very young men and more women, and they are bringing a lot of competencies. More and more women in the services. And we have to train them, we have to teach them how to learn, how to do, and how to be. This is the role of education. So I understand what is behind this question of education. But all of that will be nothing if we don't win this battle, this great battle for education. I consider it is the battle of a century, and I'm not surprised, and I'm very happy that Tessie, with your organization, has taken that seriously and you are moving forward for that. I think I want to take the words of a great man who died a few years ago that I cherish, a man who's called Nelson Mandela. He's done tremendous job in getting his country what it is today, and nobody could have imagined it would happen. Nelson Mandela said one day, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. That's beautiful. That sounds music to our head. The most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. But this is as well amazing to see how the dictatorial power have very well understood this message to fight against any opposition. And look what is happening in Russia today, and more particularly in illegally annexed part of Ukraine. What they do first, when the Russian soldiers come, they burn the books, the teaching books in Ukraine. They replace them with Russian books, where it is written that the parents and the great-parents of those young children, they have been Nazi. You see what that education is a tool of war, and this is why we need to go on this war. We cannot let that happen. And I will let you guess who are the real Nazis in this awful story, which is unfolding before our eyes. It's crucial that our democracies take on this great challenge as well. For my part, I consider that the teachers, the professors, are as well our soldiers of the new century. And they have to win the battle. They have to win the battle of knowledge. They have to win the battle of education, but they have to win the battle of hearts and minds together. A great philosopher, a Greek, Aristotle, who lived 2 centuries before Jesus Christ, said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And so, our teachers, your professors without borders, now what they have to do before teaching to the children, they have to teach to their parents before the children. They have to understand and sometimes to overcome traditions and culture. And they have permanently to keep in mind that the highest result of education is tolerance. And that quote, wonderful quote of Margaret Mead, children must be taught how to think and not what to think, which most of the time is a real cultural shock. For sure, we have new tools, and we have had a great demonstration by Britain, and new opportunities for teaching. And obviously, internet, all the great digital tools that were presented to us, present a great potential to motivate children to develop more accessible pedagogy. Imagine that thanks to virtual reality, the children today, they are able to access to knowledge, to information instantly. They can even speak to holograms of historic characters. Imagine that a child asked the late Queen Elizabeth what was her life, and the discussion starts between them. What a wonderful tool to learn, to teach, by the example in a certain way. Thanks to those digital technologies, the children would be able to see really the physical and the chemical process in action. Imagine they are able to enter into the human body. They are able to understand the mechanism. It's very powerful. It's immensely powerful. And I'm sure that a lot of digital companies, as we have heard tonight, will join you and are joining you to help to develop those technologies for the best to improve education. And this is a great journey, and to help you in this great journey forward towards disseminating knowledge. But there is a but. Digital technology can bring the best, this is true. They can also produce the worst. And therefore, I think we must consider that digital education is no longer a bonus, but rather an obligation. Just think, at the time when NASA is about to launch a new rocket to the moon, the iPhone that I have here has at least 100,000 times the processing power of the computer that landed man on the moon 50 years ago. Not speaking about the calculator, the RAM, the memories. This is striking to see that today children have access to the most advanced digital technology with little, if not a real education. Because we are not able to deliver them education. We are not up to the challenge. I tried with my grandchildren. It's very tough. It's fascinating. But we have to. You could think that it is a rich country problem. No. The short answer is no. This is amazing to see how many African countries have jumped in a certain way from the old technologies, no technology, digital technology, to the most advanced technology. They have not done the same pattern than us, learning successfully by iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Now they have jumped directly to the 12, the 14s, because now, thanks to internet dissemination, they have access to these wonderful tools, but which could be awful as well if they are not taught how to use them. Then you can understand the efficiency and the risk of some disinformation campaign and the risk of the digital crime, digital social media, the cyber risk that we see today, cyber pornography, conspiracy, violence campaigns. That must be taught. Our children must not take that for granted. They must not have this access without to know how to use it for the best. Yes, the professors are the new warriors of this century, and they are fighting for the future. They are fighting for our future, for the future generation. There is no need to be an expert in demography to understand that following the latest prediction, African population should double by 2050. That will mean 2,500 billion people, meaning more than a quarter of the world's people will be in Africa. Some experts are even predicting that African population could double again between 2050 and 2100. However, that doesn't take into account a major factor, which is of particular interest for our topic today. The big jump, the immense jump in the number of girls who are now going to school across large parts of the African continent. According to other experts, it appears that African women with no formal education, they have an average, I'm sorry, those are figures, but this is about people, but we have to deal with the figures as well. I say that the African women with no formal education have an average of 6 or more children. This falls to about 4 for women who have finished primary school and about 2 for those who have finished secondary school. You know the benefits of education? Today, according again to many experts, there is a lag of some 20 years between changes in education and the changes in fertility. So the improvements in schooling since the early 2000s are only beginning to be seen. However, the good news is that when the changes occur. It may be quick. In Iran, for instance, women went from having 7 children each to fewer than 2 between the early 80s to 2006, after a big rise, as we have seen, in female education. And you know, they are now at the forefront of the fight against obscurantism, the very brave women in Iran. Obviously, there are many other reasons to invest in school that simply limit population growth in certain parts of the world, mainly in Africa. We have seen that in many countries. In many countries, those very educated youth is fighting for its future. In Sudan, in Uganda, in Iran, in many places, other places. In fact, the mix of fully birth and education can help to kickstart a real growth. And this is what is called the demographic dividend. So let's fight for the demographic dividend through education. But one big problem remains: how to keep up getting children in schooling systems. In Ghana, primary school enrollment increased from 66% to 89% between 1990 and 2016. But in contrast, in Nigeria, somebody was from Nigeria, I think, school enrollment has dropped by 4% to 61% only since 2003. And the situation, as you know, is worse in the northeast of the country, where the jihadist movement, Boko Haram, has been attacking schools and kidnapping schoolgirls. You know what means Boko Haram in the local dialect? It means Western education is forbidden. Western education is forbidden. This is what Boko Haram means in language, in dialect. So this is clear that we are living a battle for education. And so I come back to Mandela quote: education is a powerful tool to change the world. And the extremists have perfectly, as I said, understood that. In Nigeria, obviously in Afghanistan, especially for girls, in fact, there is a direct link at the end of the day between education, security, and prosperity. And we have to fight on both fronts, security and prosperity together. And that comes with commitment, courage, and money. Yes, this is true. We need money to invest in education. But this is the best investment that we can do. Nevertheless, education is not always as well supported that it should be. There are some financial crises, as the one that we see today. Education should be seen as a variable, adjustable in a certain way. That shouldn't be the case. We should keep on investing. This is not an option. This is how we can assume the preparation of the future. And if you are not convinced by what I just said, I just want to quote another great man, who is called Andy McIntyre, who said that perfectly. If you think that education is expensive, try ignorance. I cannot say better. Ladies and gentlemen, Professors Without Borders is a great weapon against ignorance, against intolerance, against obscurantism. It's a great tool for peace and security, and I cannot help to take the words of one of my favorite white writers, that you know, Victor Hugo. He wrote The Misérables, The Mise, the famous Mise, great comedy and great musical here in London, and Victor Hugo, a great man, a visionary, saying, if you open a school, you close a prison. You go to prison. If you open a school, you close a prison. Ladies and gentlemen, there are too many prisons to close around this globe. This is why support a great initiative such as Professors Without Borders is so important, so crucial. Let's give a chance to future generations to face the many challenges that we will live there. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, and that will be my conclusion, a woman's mind stretched by new ideas may never return to its original dimension. Hopefully that will be the case thanks to Professors Without Borders. Thank you for your attention.